Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, and let's figure out what is happening today on a pretty impressive day for the market with a pretty decent reversal for Tesla as well. So let's talk about it. Tomorrow is, of course, tomorrow and Friday, technically. Not really tomorrow, I guess. Kind of tomorrow, but mainly Friday, you would argue, is the big day for Tesla. The reason for that is, well, I mean, the event happens after hours. I guess we'll get some after hours action most likely, but Friday is the real first trading day we get post-event, and that's where things should get spicy. So regardless though, the event is tomorrow, and that's the moment and the event we've been waiting for quite some time. So that'll be exciting. But either way, let's jump into it. If you enjoyed the video, by the way, don't forget to hit that like button. That does help a lot. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, I do have a membership section live. The link is down below for just $3 a month. You get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, technical analysis, options flow, etc. on Tesla every single day the market is open for just, again, $3 a month. So if that's something you may find interesting or useful, we'd love to have you there. The link is in the description of the video. But jumping into a Tesla closing the day up, actually a beautiful 3.83%, closing at 177.2. You would think after a nice almost 4% move, we'd be somewhere else in the stock. But after this 4% move, I'm taking my headset off. After this 4% move, we're pretty much right back into that consolidation zone once again. So let's talk about this, right? What does this really mean moving forward? So, yesterday we had this massive breakdown, right? We closed below that 50-day moving average, and I said how, yeah, okay, this technically makes things a little bit more bearish, but I also mentioned how, I wouldn't, as a bear at least, I wouldn't be, celebrating just yet, right? If you look back to my video yesterday is what I was saying, right? Because, well, number one, this could be a false breakdown. And number two, like I said, we have catalysts coming up, and we also have, at least I have my 2 to 3 day rule that I mentioned yesterday, where I want to see the stock, if it does break down or above a certain level, I want to see it maintain that level and turn that previous, in this case, would have been previous support, 173, into resistance. That's what I would have liked to see as a bear, right? And you want to see that for like 2 to 3 days, in my opinion. You really want to solidify that move to the downside, if that makes sense, right? Because you can have false breakdowns and breakouts, right? So that's why you always want to be careful with such moves. And that's exactly what we did, right? We had a false breakdown yesterday, even though we closed below the 50-day moving average and 173, right? But again, that 2 to 3 day rule came in clutch. We had the catalyst, like I talked about, CPI today, which came in lighter than expected. And of course, we have now, well, the event tomorrow. So let's see how this plays out. But with that massive reversal to the upside today, we did come right back into this exact same consolidation range like we've been in for God knows how long. I mean, 2 weeks now, almost 3, maybe approaching 3 weeks, right? But we came up exactly to that exact same level, pretty much right around that 180-ish range, and got rejected it by it once again after Jay Powell started speaking. Ever since Jay Powell started speaking, the market and Tesla did actually get this little bit of a rejection so far, and we're coming right back down to the mid-range, we'll say, of the 170s, around 175. So going to the 1 hour chart here very quickly, let's bring up my favorite indicator, the bands, of course, right? This is, again, the accuracy on this indicator on the 1 hour chart so far during this consolidation period has been remarkable. Every single time it's entered overbought territories or oversold territories, it's almost always reversed almost every single time. It's pretty remarkable. And that's exactly what happened. Yesterday, I mentioned how we went into extreme oversold territories. I told my members about it. I was updating them constantly, how we're extremely oversold, and we're at a very pivotal 168-ish range, right, which we bounced from all the way over here, right? Now, and then we had a massive bounce, and we went straight into oversold territory. And then, of course, I was talking about how now with JPOW coming up at, 2:30 Eastern, let's see if he reverts us back to the mean. And so far, we're not there yet, but so far he has reverted us back to the downside. And if we continue this movement to the downside tomorrow, it should bring us somewhere around 175-ish tomorrow as we head into the event, which wouldn't surprise me, as we're pretty much going to be dead smack in the middle of this consolidation range. And at that point, it'll be anyone's guess. But I do have a theory as to what might happen, which I'll talk about very, very soon. But first, let's go back to the daily chart, right? So again, the way you still can potentially look at this is obviously we have that 50-day and the 100-day moving averages, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at these bad boys once again. You can see, technically still acting as a support and resistance. This was just a false breakdown, but you can see the 100-day once again, we touched it, went a bit above it, kind of like what we did back here, and then we got, of course, rejected once again. So it really just takes not only a closure, like I mentioned many times, right? You want a closure above or below one of these, but you also want to maintain that breakout below or above one of these as well for 2 to 3 days, at least, in my opinion, to really solidify, because again, you want to be careful with these false breakouts. So that's the way I look at it, and we're still pretty much right dead smack in the middle of all of them. Now, I know a lot of people, and this is kind of my theory. Let's talk about my little quick theory here for a second, right? You can see we're still showing a squeeze, by the way, on the transponder indicator here. Now, my theory is this, right? Everyone that's looking at Tesla right now is eyeballing and waiting for a massive move, and everyone is expecting a move post this event, right? Tomorrow, of course, we get the announcements of the shareholder event, what happens with the relocation to Texas, Elon's pay package, and all those other things that shareholders are voting for. Now, everyone is expecting a move, a pretty large move, actually, to the upside or to the downside. There, I've seen things for both, right? I've seen people expecting 200. I've seen people expecting, 160, maybe even touching 150s. I've seen both, and people are expecting a large move. There's no doubt about that. The question is just which direction. But let's think about it this way, though. What does the market, and especially Tesla stock, what does it more often than not like to do? Things that are, well, unexpected. Not the thing that most people are expecting, quite the opposite. And because everyone's expecting a large move, what if, and this is a big if, I'm not saying this will happen, just what if, food for thought, the move instead is muted. What if we don't get a large move? What if it's a small move? What if it's a very muted reaction? What if we barely even come out of this consolidation range? What if we stay even within this consolidation range? What if the move is delayed for whatever reason, right? Everyone's expecting that massive move. The premium on Tesla right now, if I open up Webull, is a little bit higher than usual. Let me go ahead and open up Webull here. The premium on Tesla right now, just for this week, you can see is elevated. 87%, 86%. Like the implied volatility is pretty high right now, right? You can see it's lowering a little bit for next week, but right now for this week with that event tomorrow, the implied volatility is very high. This is almost like an earnings event at this point, it feels like, for Tesla, with this implied volatility spiking this hard for this Friday. And what does the market like to do to options? It likes to volatility crush options pretty often. I'm not saying this will happen, but if we get a muted reaction, everyone holding options right now is going to get crushed. Even if it goes slightly in your direction, it'll probably still get crushed. Just food for thought, just a potential option that may happen with Tesla stock moving forward. I'm not saying it will, just again, food for thought. That would be the most unexpected outcome, which ironically enough could be the most expected outcome, at least in my eyes. Now, looking at the indicators down here, we can see, right, we have the MACD still technically on the bearish side on the daily chart, right? RSI still kind of neutral. RSI almost as if it doesn't know where it wants to go, arguably making close to a hidden bullish divergence, but nothing too crazy, right? Because we did technically make a lower low yesterday compared to this technically on the wick, but we did close higher. So I don't know, not the most convincing one regardless. I wouldn't put too much weight into it, but the stochastic has officially, crossed bullish once again. Stochastic doesn't look too bad on the daily chart, so that's a promising sign. Moving over to the weekly chart. What do we have on the weekly chart? Let me remove these drawings for now. Well, the weekly chart is pretty interesting. So we're setting up yet another looking doji candle. Obviously, we still have 2 more days in the week, especially a pretty big trading week or day coming up on Friday, which will be post events, right? So we'll see how that candle actually forms up. But we're setting up a doji potential, even hammer candle. But the indicators down here, you can see MACD still flip bullish, RSI kind of neutral. And the stochastic on the weekly, however, is, again, starting to still show potential signs of curling. So that's my only concern here on the MACD, on the stochastic on the weekly chart. It is showing signs of the curling happening. So, will that actually potentially be an issue? Will that slow down momentum? We'll see, right? We'll see. No one knows for sure, but the event is right around the corner. And I think that's really what everyone's going to be waiting for. And again, I think it would be hilarious if the reaction in the stock ends up being a very muted reaction, like 1 or 2%, if even that's like something like that. That would be the most unexpected reaction to the stock, to the event, in my opinion. We'll see. But the volume today was pretty good, pretty decent volume on this nice bear trap into massive bullish recovery. So the volume was a nice volume today. It wasn't low volume. So that's a promising sign. I think the bulls are definitely, recovering here pretty well. But one thing that's interesting is the fact that if I remove the drawings again, does it remove? Yeah, it doesn't remove that. Nice. If I remove the drawings again, you can see the market bias. After we did break down yesterday, we came right back into the market bias, and the market bias is still showing a little red market band, if you will, here, showing that the bulls also aren't fully out of the woodworks just yet. So there's a lot of conflicting results. This is showing that we're potentially flipping bearish here. The 100-day moving average is still having issues. We did still, even though we had this bearish bear trap, we did still technically make lower lows, and that still shows signs of weakness. But is that enough to continue this bearish trend downwards, or was this just a bear trap, and in fact this is actually going to be a bullish recovery? Because usually when you have a false move in that one direction, the opposite direction almost acts like a slingshot. In this case, it'll be a bullish run up. There's a lot of conflicting results here. There's a lot of conflicting results, and it really just, in my opinion, comes down to that event. Again, it's literally tomorrow. I think there's no reason to completely guess it. If you've been patient or trying to be patient this whole time, all it really takes is just another day or two, really, arguably until Friday. That's the real trading day we get, or the first trading day we get post-event. So in my opinion, it really just comes down to a little bit more patience. In terms of options flow, right, for sold options on cheddar flow over here, nothing too crazy. We had one down here, I guess, for this Friday, 185 call sell that happened right for this Friday. So this whale's clearly not necessarily fully bearish, but they don't expect this to go much higher than 185 by this Friday. I have to say, I think I might agree with this. I really do. I think too many people are expecting a massive run up to 200 or a massive drop to like 160. Again, I'm kind of in the camp that maybe this stock will purposely destroy the implied volatility, the volatility crush, and I think a lot of people will get screwed over. We'll see. And this is why I never buy options, or rarely. Anyway, so that's pretty much the only thing that's really caught my eye in terms of bought options on black box over here. Nothing really caught my eye today, right? Again, I look for like big whales. Like I'm looking for like a massive move somewhere. Remember like the one we saw on Monday, and then we did have that massive fall on Monday. That's kind of the stuff I look for. I'm not really seeing anything like that right now. It's all just like regular plays, if you will. Nothing I really care too much about. Nothing I put too much weight into personally. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Tomorrow is the big day after hours. I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. I'm still holding all my sold options. I'm still holding the same amount of shares. None of my positions have changed. I haven't sold anything. I haven't closed any positions. I'm actually going into it with the exact positions I am. Maybe tomorrow before the market closes, I'll maybe close some positions. But the thing is like, if it does rally, I'm okay to sell my shares at the, pretty much 190 almost at this point, right? If it does fall, I'm okay to buy the shares at like the low 170s to the low 160s. Like that's where my orders are for the cash secured puts, because I sold cash secured puts yesterday. So that's why it's like, I'm okay with the positions I have to either sell or buy shares regardless of the direction it goes. And if it goes nowhere and it just goes sideways, well, that implied volatility crush will just completely work in my favor, because again, I'm selling the options. And that's kind of what I'm doing personally. And yeah, so I don't really care what happens after the event. I'll be completely honest. I feel like I'm ready for whichever direction goes. I guess I prefer downside, because then I get to actually buy those shares. But otherwise, we'll see what happens. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah, a little bit more patience is required, ladies and gentlemen. But we're right here. We're right around the corner for that major event. So buckle up and we'll see what happens. But thanks so much for watching. I'll update you tomorrow as well. See what anything happens tomorrow. If I had to predict tomorrow, I think we'll come down to 175-ish. And really just go into the event around 175. That's my guess. But let's see. And yeah, I'll update you tomorrow. Peace.